Welcome to the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Kyle and Mark. That really just sounded dumb. Anyways, I'm Kyle McKeown. You can find me on Twitter at RotoKyleNBA, and I'm here with Mark Roberts, who you can find on Twitter at Mark F. Roberts. We're doing our Who to Draft With series here. We've got this one and then at least one more where we'll go over Chris Paul and possibly another player or two like Damian Lillard or John Wall. But in this Who to Draft With episode, we're going to talk about Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook. If you're not already hip to it, you can find all of our free rankings on dailyfantasybasketballpodcast.com. Hit us up on Twitter if you have any questions, if you want custom rankings and all that jazz. Mark, how's your day going?
Good, man. I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Lovely. Thank you for asking. All right.
I think we're well over 100 custom ranks that have been sent out. So it's pretty good response from our listeners.
Pretty nice. So let's get right into this. Thank you everybody for sending in those custom ranks requests and everything. It's fun to interact with everybody and to see all the different leagues that people play in. For this,
honestly, that's my favorite. The interesting ways that people do their different leagues. They set them up, and there's some really creative people out there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've only gotten a few of them, and it's been fun to see the different ways stuff is all structured. So we've done this with a couple other players, and what we're doing here is we're saying for the guys that you draft in the first round, cool. You find out your draft spot. You know who you're going to be able to target potentially at those draft spots, but who are you going to be able to pair with these guys in the second, third, fourth, and fifth round to kind of round out your starting lineup or round out the base of your team that really then determines who you should be going after in the later rounds. So looking at this, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, they have pretty similar stat profiles. They all contribute in assists, at least 5 a game. They're all good rebounders. They all score over 20 points a game. They all contribute 3-pointers. They all contribute steals. The only real big difference to me is in the percentages and then in blocks. You get blocks from LeBron, you get blocks from KD, and then you get more assists from Russell Westbrook than what you would the other guys. So it all kind of balances out, and they're all being taken around the 4th, 5th, and 6th pick of the first round. So we thought we could kind of gather these guys together and say, all right, in the second round, you're going to be picking around the same spot no matter who you draft out of these guys. Who can you look at? Who can you pair with them going forward in your draft? Mark, if you had to pick just LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, if you had to pick one of these guys, who are you going with in the first round?
That's a good question. I would go with Durant, knowing full well that he is recovering from 3 foot surgeries, and we don't precisely know that he's going to be back. But we're only a year removed from him being the no-brainer, obvious first pick in drafts. So if I can get him at like pick 5, and I'm picking between LeBron, who we're starting to see him come down a little bit from his peak level, his peak fantasy level, and Westbrook, who I don't know that I think Durant is much more of an injury risk than Westbrook. I'm probably going with Durant. What about you?
If I had to pick one of these 3 guys, it would be Durant, just because he has the highest ceiling. But I think there's a great argument for Russell Westbrook. He's been putting up stupid, insane stats in the preseason again, just like he was last year, even though he's got Kevin Durant with him. I don't think that really means anything. I'm trying not to take any distinction from that because it is the preseason. But it makes you feel a little bit better about Westbrook than I do Durant or LeBron James.
Has Durant played in the preseason?
Yeah. No, everybody says he's going to be good. Everything looks fine. It looks like Durant's not going to have issues with his foot this year. It's really a matter of whether or not you trust the reports, whether or not you think Durant is going to stay healthy for yourself. But all the reports, Stefania Bell from ESPN, everybody says bone graft procedures work to fix feet and that he should be good to go. Here's my thing. 4th, 5th, or 6th, I'm taking DeMarcus Cousins over any of these guys. That's my thought process. But if I was gonna,
for me, I guess for me, it's more like I would be deciding between Cousins and Durant, and then there's a gap between those two and Westbrook and LeBron James for me. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
So what?
No,
go ahead. That's why it's so easy for me to just say I would take Durant over those two, because I kind of see that. I see Durant in that. I almost see in a head-to-head league, I think Harden and Curry are a first tier. I think Cousins and Durant are a second tier, and then I think, a half a tier below that is Westbrook, LeBron, John Wall, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard. There's kind of a big mesh of players that are kind of in that third tier. But I think Durant and Cousins make up a mini second tier.
I don't know how you can calculate it or whatever. It would be kind of cool to do confidence rankings where you put your level of confidence in a player into what, into the rankings to help you discern who's more in line with your thought processes or whatever for your personal rankings. And that's the thing with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. There's a new coach there. I'm just not sure what kind of offense they're going to run, if there's going to be issues.
Playing time. Right. What if he limits them to 33 minutes per game? That's gonna change what Durant used to give you. One of the reasons he was so good is he played 38 minutes a game.
And that's another issue with LeBron. They've been talking about limiting his minutes this year. LeBron says he doesn't want to sit out games, but he's cool with them cutting his minutes down, stuff like that. It's just some of this ambiguity. I don't want that. With Anthony Davis, all of the ambiguity is about exciting new things like a faster pace, the ball in his hands more, potentially shooting three-pointers, yada, yada, yada. Steph Curry, there's no real changes there. James Harden, no real changes there. So I feel more confident about those situations. DeMarcus Cousins, we saw what he did under George Karl, in the second half of the season last year. So that DeMarcus Cousins' ceiling is so high. So it's really just there is a confidence rankings that I put on players that I don't necessarily, you're not going to see in the rankings. But anyways.
So what is your confidence level on these three? Give us some examples here. What's your confidence level for Durant, I guess?
Well, it's him. He's probably at a 75% confidence level.
And what would Anthony Davis be? Just to guess.
1,000%.
Okay. And what would
Steph Curry's at 95.
Who's a low confidence guy? Let's talk about Kyle Lowry. What's Kyle Lowry?
Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, Kyrie Irving. Anybody who's got an injury that they're coming back from that I'm not confident about.
I thought you were going to say anybody whose name starts with a K.
No. Now we're talking about personality issues that I have with self-confidence, and thank you. I didn't want to reflect on that in the podcast.
I think you should give them a personality score too. That would be a fun place to add into our rankings. Your confidence score, Kyle's confidence score. That even sounds nice. Kyle's confidence score and Kyle's personality score.
That would be fun to do, the Myers-Briggs personality test from the perspective of different basketball players. Russell Westbrook would just want to dunk on everything. So
yeah, we should do that during the All-Star break when we have nothing to talk about.
Sounds perfect. So what we're assuming here is a 12-team draft. Your first picks, 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's where you're going to see LeBron, Durant, Westbrook go. Then in the second round, when it comes back around to you, you're looking at the 19th, 20th, 21st picks. That you'll be drafting in. So if we go down here, you can see on this list that we're working off of, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see all the players taken after LeBron, Durant, and Westbrook, where it's Chris Paul, DeMarcus Cousins, Kawhi Leonard, Carmelo Anthony, Horford, Thompson, Lillard, Jimmy Butler, John Wall, LaMarcus Aldridge, Paul Millsap, and Blake Griffin. Those are the guys that are going to get taken on Yahoo. So who's available after that, though? And we've got another list here. It's Paul George is your first guy available there. Now, when you're looking at this list with us, we start the Yahoo ADP of this list at 22, but that's because some of the guys at 19, 20, 21 were already drafted. So what we're looking at here is Paul George, Draymond Green, Eric Bledsoe, Gordon Hayward, DeAndre Jordan, Kyle Lowry, Rudy Gobert, Andre Drummond. Knowing that you're getting really good players in Westbrook, Durant, James, who contribute across the board statistics, who are you looking at in the second round to pair with these guys?
Oh, if I'm thinking about this, I'm probably thinking from the perspective that it doesn't matter too much, but I'm thinking from the perspective that I just drafted Durant. And I'm looking at this list, and I guess the guy that intrigues me the most, and maybe it's just because we haven't had a chance to talk about him so far, is Gobert. Like if I've drafted Durant, who if he he has to stay healthy for me to win. So let's just assume he's going to stay healthy. He's probably going to win or be second or third place in the scoring title, right?
Yep.
So if there's a guy that you can pair Gobert with, I think that it is probably Durant. Like, if there's a guy that you can afford to take the 11 points a game on, and then all of a sudden you're okay in threes because Durant's giving you more than 2 threes a game. You're great in rebounds because Durant rebounds and Gobert is a monster rebounder. You're pretty good in assists because Durant is good at assists. Between the two, they're going to get you enough steals. You're going to be great in blocks, and you should be fine in points. I think that's a great start. I guess, is there a reason not to do that? I think probably still the right answer is Paul George.
Yeah,
pair with him, but I really like the idea of putting Gobert with Durant.
I think Paul George is the guy who should be getting taken if he's still sitting there at the 19th pick. But there's a good chance that if you're playing in a league where people have kind of caught on to the fact that Paul George looks amazing this preseason, it doesn't look like he's going to have any lingering injury issues from his broken leg from a year ago, then Paul George might go earlier. So we're looking at guys who are available there: Serge Ibaka, Rudy Gobert, Paul George, Nikola Vucevic, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Marc Gasol, Draymond Green, Kyle Lowry. You can't go wrong pairing anybody, really, but something that we continue to talk about through this draft series that sticks out is I want more blocks in the second or third round. So I know I'm going to want a blocks guy, so I'm totally cool with taking Rudy Gobert there in the second to pair with one of these guys. Who would you then pair with Rudy Gobert in the third round if you're going?
Let's go that because even if we say Paul George is the better pick or Draymond Green's the better pick, we've talked about those guys kind of ad nauseum, I feel like. So let's talk about a new guy. Let's say we pick just for, and you can talk about this with any of the 3 guys, I think. But let's say we pick Durant and then we pick Gobert, and then let's move down. So we're not bookending our pick. So we're going to assume that some players went between our second and third pick. So let's see. Yep. So we're showing Serge Ibaka, Kyrie Irving, Rudy Gobert, who we picked, but Paul George is gone, Vucevic is gone, Love is gone, Gasol, Draymond Green. It's too bad. It would be nice if Draymond Green fell there. So who we've got left, our best available guys, then are 14. We've got Bledsoe, Hayward, DeAndre Jordan, Drummond, Oladipo, Ariza, Noel, Tyreke Evans, Mirotic, and Peyton. Those bottom guys, now their Yahoo ADP does not seem to have come out correctly on here. I wonder if that's actually their auction value.
That's what you're looking at there is this is not your ADP. This is our rank. So these are our ranked players.
Rank.
Yep, that's our rank.
To put their Yahoo ADP there, but I think
we've got it. I think it's down here a little bit. So it's just in the next table. So the Yahoo ADP at the 28th, 29th, and 30th pick is DeAndre Jordan, Pau Gasol, Mike Conley.
The only thing I was going to point out is the guys at the bottom of our list as our best players available up here, like Peyton, Mirotic, Evans. Those guys are all going to go way, even though we have them high, you can get them later on. So even if you want them, I don't think you're talking about trying to pick those guys. I think your decision is between, do you want Bledsoe, Hayward, who are similar players? Like, do you want a point guard, wing guy, or do you want to double up on your Gobert pick and get DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond, and Oladipo? I think would go. I think there's 2 clear ways you could go with the best guys here. You could pick a wing guy, basically those 3 wing guys: Bledsoe, Hayward, Oladipo, or you could go with another big guy. I think I'm tempted to go with probably the highest scoring wing guy, which is probably Hayward, to try to again boost. Even though you have Durant, Gobert is going to be kind of an anchor on your points. I want to go points again and probably get the last 20-point scorer on the board, which is Hayward.
Okay, so you've got Durant, you've got Rudy Gobert in the second round, Gordon Hayward in the third, and then let's just go on to the fourth round.
What do you think?
Well, I'm going to come back because I want to talk about it from the perspective of taking Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
So you got those three guys rounding out your team.
So let me just think for a second what I'm good at. So I think I am probably, or if I need anything, I feel like I'm pretty balanced here, even though I've taken Rudy Gobert, who's a guy who's not balanced. Probably if I need anything, it's assists though.
Yeah, that's the only thing that you need that's elite that you don't have. Like you don't have any elite contributor in assists right now, but you've got two
But
guys.
I feel like I've got two guys. Yeah, exactly what you were going to say here.
Yeah, you got two guys who give you good assists, over 5 a game, and then you've got two guys who score over 20 points a game potentially if Hayward hits that mark. You got great rebounding from Gobert, good rebounding from the two wing players, and Durant and Hayward. The only thing you're really lacking is elite assists. And what you need to determine in the 4th round is, do you need to get them now or can you wait?
Yeah. And so, sorry about that. I got so excited. I got so excited to pick here. Man, I'm looking at this list. I'm looking who's going to go. I don't mind taking Ariza because, again, those elite 3-pointers and steals would be nice to have. But I'm kind of focusing on the guys that I think are going to go. There's a lot of value here. Like I want to end up with Mirotic on my team. I probably want to end up with Tyreke Evans on my team. I probably want to maybe try to get either Reggie Jackson or Elfrid Payton on my team. So I know I'm going to go for those guys, but I think I'm not going to go for them yet. Like I think I can try to get like semi-elite assists between Rubio, Payton, and Jackson. I hope I can get one or maybe two of those guys. But in this round, I'm thinking my best bets is to try to get either Favors or Ariza, even though those aren't, necessarily going to give me assists. I think I'd probably go Favors here. That's a lot of Jazz players. I'm okay with that, though. The good thing about Favors is he scores pretty well for a guy who's going to rebound and block shots like he does. And I think at this point, if I lock in Favors with Gobert and Durant, I think I'm pretty good to go as far as rebounds and blocks go. Like those are hard. Blocks especially is a hard category to get. I don't think I have to worry about that anymore. I can just start picking off these players that are really great values. So I think I'd probably go Favors in this round, knowing that he's not going to be there in the 5th round. And then if we jump down to the 5th round, that's probably where I start taking just some of these highly ranked guys. Like maybe this is where I take, I don't know, I'm tempted to take Wiggins or Antetokounmpo here and then just keep saying I'm going to take, I'm going to get 2 of Evans, Payton, Rubio, or who was the other guard I was going to get?
You're talking about Mirotic too.
Yeah, and I want to get Mirotic. I don't know. At some point, those guys are going to start flying off the board.
Right. And the thing is,
but still, Reggie, if I can get 2
I feel like he's going. I think he's going a lot higher than even 78 now.
Yeah. If I was worried that Reggie Jackson, somebody else was going to grab Reggie Jackson here, that's probably the one guy here that I would take. Just saying. He has a really good, I don't know, maybe Rubio is the guy that I would take. I would probably take one of those 2 guys and just say, I need to lock in somebody who has a chance to get 8.5 assists or more than that.
Are you saying you would consider Rubio before you consider Reggie?
I'm saying I would pick one of those 2 guys.
I guess it is a conversation. To me, it's not like I think about Reggie Jackson. I'm thinking about getting some pretty darn good scoring alongside his assists. And potentially better 3-pointers than the one that he was giving you last year per game,
and certainly better than Rubio. I think the conversation is basically they're both going to be very good at assists. Do you want Jackson's points, which are going to be better than Rubio's, or do you need Rubio's steals?
Yep.
I think I'm probably okay with the steals because Favors is going to get me some steals. Gobert is going to get me some steals. Hayward's going to get me steals. Durant's going to get me steals. Like I've got steals kind of all over my team. I probably still am looking to kind of make up points. And that's the thing with taking Gobert. Like you're kind of always a little bit behind where you should have been on points, even though you took Durant and you can kind of weather the storm.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am in the 5th round and I'm still leaning towards the guys that are going to give me the most points. And so I probably take, if you look at that list, Wiggins is probably the other guy that could score a lot of points. So if I thought maybe I could push Jackson one more round, maybe I go Wiggins and then Jackson. And then I start like just, maybe I take Rubio next and I take Mirotic next and I take Tyreek Evans next, or try to get as many of those guys near the top of this list as I can. Is probably how I'd approach that team. But I like that team a whole lot.
Yeah, so you're looking at having Durant as your first pick, Gobert as your second, Gordon
Hayward, Derek Favors, and then let's call it Reggie Jackson.
I mean,
I'd probably take Wiggins. I'd probably take Wiggins and try to get Jackson in the 6th round. I'm not as worried about, those. The one nice thing about not being on the end is I don't have to wait that many picks till I pick again in the 6th round. Well, if Jackson happens to not be there, then I'll take Rubio. And if he happens to not be there, I'll take Peyton. If he happens not, I can take Evans. I feel like I can still get 2 really solid point guards here. And the guys that I've taken so far are not bad at this. Durant's good.
Hayward's going to do good.
Yeah. So I think I can get there on assists still, but that'll be primarily my focus the rest of the draft.
I can get behind that. I'm seeing Reggie Jackson go earlier and earlier in drafts. So I'm targeting him by the 5th round. If I feel like if I don't get him by the 5th round, he's not going to be sitting there for me, especially on Yahoo leagues right now. So
and that's just kind of where you have to read the room, right? Like if people are starting to make smart picks, I'm totally with you. I think Reggie Jackson is better than Andrew Wiggins, but if I can get both of them, I could be a little greedy. I'm going to do it.
Yep, you got to try and do that to make sure that you're getting the best squad overall. So if I was starting this out and I was starting with Russell Westbrook as my first pick, you have
the big difference, just to reset here, is his assists are better. He's going to give you elite assists probably and better steals, but not the blocks.
Right. Although Westbrook's rebounds are better than LeBron's and just a little bit worse than Durant's.
Oh, he's excellent at rebounds too.
Yep.
He's great at steals. He's not going to get you as many 3-pointers as those other 2 guys, but he's fine there. And then the scoring obviously is there.
So taking Paul George out of the conversation, because he would be the first pick here every time if he's really getting drafted 22nd on Yahoo, or he'd be the second pick. I'm probably going to be looking to add two big men back to back right here. So in the 2nd round, I'd be considering. Here's the problem. Much in the way that you were talking about the fact that you can get Reggie Jackson later, so you were pushing him off. I just did a Yahoo draft tonight with experts, and I got Drummond and Hayward in the 3rd and 4th round. I had the 11th pick, so I got Drummond and Hayward at the end.
You got them 3rd and 4th. Who was 4th?
Hayward.
Okay.
So you can get these guys kind of late, and knowing that, it makes me want to sit a little bit on them.
Okay.
And say, if I can wait, why don't I take another good player in the 2nd round other than Drummond and other than Gordon Hayward?
Who do you want to go with then?
I'm guessing I would end up taking but this is the problem though too, this is where you can get yourself in trouble, is you start thinking you can take somebody else, and then your guys end up getting taken. The ones that you actually wanted. So even though I'm talking a big game about, I'll be really smart and I would do this, you know what I would really end up doing? I would still take Andre Drummond in the 2nd round, but I would, you know what? Screw this.
You could definitely wait for him in the 3rd round here. I think.
I know. That's why I'm like, I would really consider taking Rudy Gobert and pairing him with Drummond.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly tempting, right? Like, that would be awesome with Westbrook. But aren't you worried about points? I mean, you're the points guy. Aren't you worried about points?
And it's son of a biscuit. I'm glad you pointed that out. but it just feels so didactic to be taking the same players every single time we talk about this, you know.
Yeah.
But realistically, if Paul George isn't there for my 19th, 20th, and 21st pick, who else do I like? I don't like Kevin Love. I'm not a big Marc Gasol guy for head-to-head leagues. He's good, Draymond Green's good, but you're still talking about points issues. So, and you can still get Gordon Hayward later.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's why we like Hayward so much. Is he's the only guy you're getting in the third round that's going to get you a 20+ points a game, or at least has a better than 50-50 shot at it. Like, you could say anybody can get you 20 points a game, but I think Gordon Hayward, if you were to set the over/under at 20, you would probably pick slightly over, and he's the only guy in the third round I think that you can say that about.
But where are you? So you're taking. So you got 4, 5, 6 at 28, 29, and 30. And then you've got 4, 5, 6 at 43, 44, and 45. Now, Gordon Hayward gets picked at the.
Yeah, I think you gotta pick him in the third round.
Yeah, you're right. Because he's 39th, so he's not gonna fall to you at 43, 44, and 45 most likely. I think it's possible.
Sure,
right?
Absolutely possible. It's not likely, but
yeah,
you can see him there at 39.
You're right. So if I'm taking Westbrook, I'm probably going to end up pairing him with my boys with Drummond because I want more scoring, and with Gordon Hayward. All right. So I've got Drummond and Hayward then. So I've got Westbrook, Drummond, and Hayward. I'm good in assists. I'm good. I'm pretty good in blocks. I'm great in rebounds. I'm good in steals. I got good scoring.
Yeah, and I think I would say the thing is you're not done with, like, again, we've harped on this already, with Gobert and a guy that's decent at blocks, you're almost done with blocks, and Drummond doesn't quite give you that. He gives you that in rebounds. Like, Gobert can't match Drummond in rebounds.
Drummond's weird with his blocks too, because he'll have like a 0 blocks game or a 1 blocks game and another 1 blocks game, and then he'll come out and he'll put up 7 blocks.
Right. So. But I mean, their averages are definitely gapped, like a significant difference between the two of them.
So Westbrook, Drummond, Hayward, and then next.
Yeah, you're going to your 4th round pick. I mean, shoot.
I mean,
yeah, I'm interested to see who you'd pick here.
I would most likely. I would probably go Reggie Jackson.
Really? Even though you don't think you can get him another round later?
I'm not with where I've seen him start to go in some of my recent drafts. I wish I had the Triple Crown Hoops Challenge open here so I could kind of look exactly at where he went in that last draft I did. In fact, I'm just going to pull it up. So I'm
surprised that you didn't go with Favors. It seems to me like you are a bigger Favors fan than I am.
Is he actually still available at that time?
Yeah, he's right below Reggie Jackson. I mean, the 4th round's the latest that you're going to get him, but he is still there.
And you can still get Rubio. You can still get Moutier. You can still get Michael Carter-Williams. So you got
Kevin. You can still get Elfrid Payton. Like, there's Kemba Walker's, Brandon Knight's still there. There's a lot of point guards.
So to me, then, what I would be considering is between Nikola Mirotic and Derek Favors. And if you're considering all these factors and you're looking at the possibility of guys being able to drop, it's just tough, man, because I really think Reggie Jackson's going to be an 8 to 10 assist guy. 8 to 10 assist guys are great. And he's going to score 18 to 20 points a game, which is just huge.
If you can get him in the 5th round, that's even better. Right? I mean, you're being a little greedy there, but.
So that's, I love that I'm hemming and hawing about this. Like, it's life or death. But
this is like one step below a mock draft. we're pretending to draft. We're pretending to do a mock draft.
Oh man.
We may need to reevaluate our life choices after this podcast.
Seriously, like this is what am I gonna name my first child? So you can see it though. You can see. Well, let's do this. Let's go to the 5th round and let's see who's available there, because then maybe that can help me formulate my plan a little bit better. But you like all those guys.
Yeah, basically all these same guys are there. That's kind of what my point is with Favors. Favors is the only one that's gone.
Well, you just made my decision for me. So we go down here and we're looking at the players that are still left available. Mirotic, based on the ADP, should still be available. Peyton, Tyreek Evans, Reggie Jackson, Rubio. So you're not worried about taking those guys in the round before.
And the problem is, if you don't start taking them in the 4th round, you're not going to get all of them. But I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with just getting a good amount of them. Like getting 50% of those guys that are ranked really highly in our ranks compared to Yahoo.
There's part of me that hates drafting in the middle of the round, because when you're drafting at the start or the beginning of the round, you get your 2 picks very close together. So there's not a lot of people sniping guys from you.
Right.
But when you're right in the middle and you have 10 picks between each pick every single time, it seems like you end up feeling like guys just get stripped from your rankings constantly. Yeah. And because you make 1 pick and then 3 or 4 guys get stripped from your queue, and then you make another pick, 3 or 4 guys get stripped from your queue. It can be gut-wrenching going through a draft like that, waiting for your next pick to come up, because it does feel so good to be like, oh, you know what? I got 4 guys in my queue. I know I'm going to be able to get 2 of them because I've got 2 picks coming, pretty much right back to back.
Plus, if you're in that position, you probably got a really early pick, which is also very helpful.
I don't like sticking, I don't like being too ardent about the rankings though, when you're trying to decide between a Derek Favors or Reggie Jackson and saying, well, who's going to stay? You do get, there's that fear that I talked about earlier in the podcast about trying to be too smart about it rather than just taking the guys that you think are the better players. Because if you ask me who I think is going to be higher in the rankings at the end of the season, I think it's, we've got Jackson and Favors projected 32, 34. So
my point is basically like, who's the player on this list that does what Favors does for you? Like, maybe there's not an exact duplicate of Reggie Jackson, but I don't know. Ricky Rubio is going to give you something similar. Brandon Knight's going to give you something similar. Kemba Walker is going to give you something similar. Evans, like a lot of these guys are point guards who have flaws that are kind of weeded out because of the punt strategy that we have, which is why they're so high in our rankings. And there's a lot of them. There's no guy on this list that's going to give you 90% of what Derek Favors can give you. So I would rather take the Favors, hope that Jackson's there, but if not, take the guy that's going to give me 90% of what Jackson gives me, rather than, if I don't get Favors, like, who am I plugging into that hole of somebody who's going to get me good rebounds, points, and blocks? There's not another guy on our list anywhere that really does those things.
You're right. And when you put it in that perspective, it does make me look at the other guys and say, you can wait on a point guard.
Yeah. And so it's not trying to be like too cute with just trying to wait on the players that you really want. I think you're smart to say, like, don't do that. Pick the guys that you really want. It's just, for me, it's the fact that if I miss out on Favors here, I can't get another Favors or anybody close to him.
You're right. No, so we got Russell Westbrook, Andre Drummond, Gordon Hayward. That's who I picked, right? Yeah. And then Derek Favors. So I've got 2 good big men. I don't have an elite assist guy yet. And
I think you're taking Jackson in the next round, right?
Right. In the 5th round, if Jackson was still there, I'm really worried he wouldn't be. I don't think he would be. So I would still end up looking at an Alfred Payton or a Ricky Rubio. Mm-hmm. And honestly, but then, you start to, it's funny. You start to go down these different rabbit holes or whatever, and it's like, well, this thought process just kind of catches on to you, and you start thinking, well, maybe I can keep pushing away my assists because Moutier is still on the draft board and stuff like that. So,
no, that's what I ended up doing, because I ended up taking, even though I said not Jackson in the 4th, I'll take him in the 5th. And when I got to the 5th and saw Wiggins there, I go, oh, maybe I'll take Wiggins and I'll go for the 6th round. But if that's how the draft was really going, if all of these guys were still there, that's probably what I would do. Like if I was sitting there and saying Evans, Peyton, Jackson, Rubio, Walker are all there and nobody's picking them, I'm okay waiting until the 6th round, and then I'll take 3 of them in a row, or I'll take 2 of them in a row, and like on that Moutier if I need to. And then my 6th, my 6th, 7th, and 8th picks maybe are all point guards, and great. If I get Jackson, Peyton, and Rubio, I'm thrilled. And if I only end up with, Evans, Tyreek Evans, Kemba Walker, and I don't know, Elfrid Payton, and I'm not as thrilled, but I still think I'm probably okay.
Yep, and I mean, when you compare drafting Andrew Wiggins to Reggie Jackson, I'm like, no, there's no way you should take Andrew Wiggins above Reggie Jackson. But when you look at the ADP, if you can wait, then you could end up getting a hell of a steal late in your draft in Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
So definitely some things to think about. So yeah, I would end up taking a point guard with my 5th pick.
No, because I'm there.
And I think the same conversations that we just had about Durant and Westbrook can be, you can look at LeBron the same way. So, any other thoughts that you have about all of this?
Oh man, this was fun. I like these teams that we're putting together.
Me too. I hope we can actually get these guys in our real drafts. All right, this has been the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast with Kyle McKeown and Mark Roberts. Once again, you can find us at the dailyfantasybasketballpodcast.com. There's no "the" in front of that. I don't know why I always say that. If you
we
like
add it and make our website even longer.
No, we're good. I think everybody hates having to type in 32 characters to get to a .com. But you can also find us on Twitter. I'm at RotoKyleNBA. Mark is at Mark F. Roberts, and that's Mark with a C, like Marc Gasol. We've got free rankings on the site. Go ahead and go check those out there. Hit us up on Twitter. If you'd like to donate to the site, everything's free, so that would be very much appreciated. We've got a PayPal donate button on the site that you can go to and help us out a little bit. Other than that, thank you so much for just listening to the podcast, watching us on YouTube, subscribing on iTunes. If you can rate and review the podcast, subscribe to it. That helps us out immensely. You have no idea as far as getting high in the rankings, getting us previewed a little bit higher on the podcast rankings. So when people go browsing through the podcast, they're like, oh, who's that smiling fellow? And then they, offer, us big money to get sponsorship and stuff so that we don't have to pimp ourselves out on the street on the weekend. So anyways, thank you for listening to the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast. We love you. Have a good night. You want to say goodbye, Mark?
Bye, guys.
Bye, Max Headroom sounding Mark.
Say goodbye, guys.